My wife Sarah and I met in college. We weren't rich kids, both working part-time jobs to afford textbooks and ramen. After graduation, we got entry-level jobs in the same city and moved into a tiny apartment with mismatched furniture from thrift stores. We'd joke about how one day we'd have matching dishes and a couch that didn't sag in the middle. We were happy though, or at least I thought we were. We got married at 25 in a modest ceremony. Both sets of parents helped, but we paid for most of it ourselves. The honeymoon was a road trip to a beach 3 states away because it was all we could afford. Those nights in that cheap motel, planning our future together, were some of the happiest of my life. For years, we climbed the ladder together. Sarah worked at a marketing firm while I took a job at a software company. We weren't getting rich, but we were comfortable. We bought a small house in the suburbs 5 years ago. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. We painted every room ourselves, planted a garden, adopted a dog. I thought we were building something real. Last year, Sarah got promoted to work directly with high-end clients. Suddenly, she was attending networking events, galas, business dinners. I was proud of her. She'd worked hard for this. Our financial situation improved. We could finally afford to fix the leaky roof and replace our 10-year-old car. But something else changed too. Sarah started coming home later and later. She'd talk about these events, these people with their vacation homes and luxury cars. At first, I listened enthusiastically, but over time I noticed something in her voice when she described that world, a longing. "Don't you want more than this?" she asked me one night, gesturing around our modest living room. I was confused. We had everything we'd ever planned for: stability, our home, each other. "I'm happy with what we have," I told her. "Aren't you?" She didn't answer right away, and that silence haunted me for weeks afterward. Then came the business trips, weekend conferences, late meetings. Her texts became shorter, less frequent. When she was home, she was distant, always on her phone. I tried to reconnect, date nights, surprise gifts, cooking her favorite meals, but nothing broke through. 6 weeks ago, she came home from a work dinner at 1 a.m. I was still up, worried sick. When she walked in, I could tell something was different. She wouldn't meet my eyes. "We need to talk," she said. Those 4 words that nobody ever wants to hear from their spouse. "I'm not happy anymore," Sarah said, sitting across from me at our kitchen table, the same one we'd found at a yard sale and refinished together years ago. "I haven't been for a while." I felt like I'd been punched. "What? Why didn't you say something sooner? We can work on this. Couples therapy, a vacation, anything." She shook her head. "It's not something that can be fixed, Mark. I've changed. What I want has changed." "What do you want?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "More than this." She gestured around our home. "More than struggling to make mortgage payments on this starter house. More than worrying whether we can afford to replace the water heater when it breaks. More than clipping coupons and buying store brands." I was stunned. "We're not struggling. We're comfortable. This is the life we planned together." "It's the life you planned," she said. "I've realized I want different things now." Something in her tone made me ask, "Is there someone else?" Her silence was my answer. "Who?" I managed to ask. "His name is Richard. He's one of our firm's clients. He owns a chain of high-end fitness centers." Of course his name would be Richard. I almost laughed at the irony. "How long?" I asked. "We've been talking for a few months. But it only became more about 6 weeks ago." 6 weeks. All those late meetings and business trips suddenly made sense. "So what now?" I asked. "I want a divorce," she said, no hesitation. "Richard has helped me find an apartment downtown. I've already moved some things there." I felt like I was in some twisted nightmare. "You've already moved out?" Without even talking to me first. She had the decency to look ashamed. "I knew you'd try to convince me to stay, to work things out. But my mind is made up." The next few days were a blur. Sarah packed more of her things while I wandered around the house in a daze. Our dog followed me everywhere, sensing something was wrong. When she finally left, taking about half our joint savings, I sat on the floor of our bedroom and cried for the first time since my father died. The financial reality hit quickly. Our mortgage, utilities, car payments, all structured around 2 incomes. Sarah's lawyer, which Richard had apparently paid for, sent divorce papers within a week. The terms were clear. She wanted half the value of the house, her portion of our retirement accounts, and to split our remaining assets. My friends were supportive but clueless. "You're better off without her," they'd say. "You'll find someone who appreciates you." But at night, alone in our bed, financial anxiety kept me awake. I'd have to sell the house. There was no way I could afford it alone. My credit would take a hit. At 35, I'd be starting over financially, setting my retirement plans back years. I discovered credit card debt I didn't know about. Nearly $15,000 on a card in her name that she'd been using to buy new clothes, expensive salon visits, things to fit into Richard's world. She argued it was her debt alone, but her lawyer used it to negotiate for more of our joint assets. 2 weeks after she left, I ran into them at a restaurant I couldn't afford. I was picking up a takeout order with a coupon, while they were having a full dining experience. Richard looked about 10 years older than me, impeccably dressed with a watch that probably cost more than my car. Sarah was wearing clothes I'd never seen, laughing at something he said. Our eyes met across the restaurant. Sarah's smile faltered for a moment before she quickly looked away. Richard noticed the exchange and placed his hand possessively over hers on the table. I paid for my sad little takeout order and left with what dignity I could muster. That night, I finally called my older sister, Claire. Unlike my friends with their empty reassurances, Claire gave me practical advice. She'd been through a divorce years earlier and understood the financial nightmare I was facing. "You need a better lawyer," she said bluntly. "One who understands that her infidelity and hidden debt should impact the settlement." Claire lent me money for a more aggressive attorney. It was humiliating to need help, but it turned out to be the lifeline I needed. My new lawyer discovered that Sarah had been siphoning money from our joint account into a private one for months, preparing for this exit long before I had any clue. The divorce proceedings turned ugly. Richard's money meant Sarah could drag things out, but my lawyer was tenacious. In the end, we reached a settlement that was more equitable than what she'd initially proposed. I wouldn't have to sell the house immediately, giving me time to refinance in just my name or find something more affordable. 3 months after she left, Sarah called me late one night. Her voice sounded different, smaller, less confident. "I miss the dog," she said. "Can I come see him sometime?" I almost laughed. Not, "I miss you," or "I made a mistake." She missed our dog. "He's confused," I told her truthfully. "He keeps waiting by the door for you to come home." Just like I had, those first few weeks. There was a long pause. "How are you doing?" she finally asked. "Surviving," I said. "Working extra hours to make ends meet. Sold the second car. Getting by." "Oh," she said. "Richard thinks I should ask for more in the settlement." And there it was. Not a reconciliation call, but a negotiation tactic. "Richard thinks a lot of things," I replied, keeping my voice even. "But our lawyers have already signed the agreement." Another pause. "Sometimes I wonder if I made the right choice," she admitted quietly. The old me would have jumped at that opening, begged her to come back. But something had shifted inside me. "You made your choice, Sarah. You chose luxury over loyalty. Now you have to live with it." I hung up, my hands shaking but my resolve firm. That night, I slept better than I had in months. 6 months have passed now. I've downsized to a smaller house that I can afford on my salary. Found a roommate, a coworker going through a similar situation, to help with expenses. Started therapy to process the betrayal and rebuild my self-worth. Created a strict budget and started slowly rebuilding my savings and credit score. Last week, I ran into Sarah's best friend Jen at the grocery store. After awkward small talk, she hesitated before saying, "You should know. Richard and Sarah broke up. He got back with his ex-wife." I felt nothing but a dull ache where once there would have been vindication or hope. "I'm sorry to hear that," I said, and meant it. Despite everything, I didn't want Sarah to suffer. "She's been asking about you," Jen added, "wondering if you're seeing anyone." I shook my head. "Tell her I'm focusing on myself right now." As I walked away, I realized it was true. The financial hit had been devastating, but in some ways, it forced me to reevaluate what really matters. Money comes and goes. The betrayal taught me that wealth doesn't equal worth, not in a bank account, and not in a partner. I'm not ready to date yet, but when I am, I know I'll look for someone who values building something together, brick by modest brick. Someone who understands that true richness isn't measured by the price tag on your watch or the square footage of your home, but by the depth of your character and the authenticity of your love.